Welcome to the Land House channel. I'm Seth. Today I'm going to be installing the Thermomate 11K Tankless Hot Water Heater. I am here at a location that has a tiny house without running water. So I've used a ram pump to bring water up to this cabin, and we've got a diaphragm pump that will send water into the Thermomate, and this will heat up the water for washing hands and running the shower. So let's go ahead and unbox this unit and then get to work installing it in this tiny house so that the owner can have hot water from the creek down here below. Let's take a look at the contents of this heater by opening up the box. We have some mounting hardware, we have a user's manual, a couple of warnings, and then a template for mounting this on the wall. Very nice to have that. Set that aside for now, and let's open up and see what this heater actually looks like. All right, seems to be packaged well with this foam. Let's take a tour of the product real quick. It has a nice sleek finish on the front. The button right here has a press to turn the unit on or off. You can then move from left to right to adjust the temperature. And if you hold the switch down for 3 seconds, it will change over from Fahrenheit to Celsius. So all of your controls that you'll need are right there on that one switch. Down here on the business end, you've got the incoming power. You've got your cold line and your hot line right there. So inlet cold, outlet hot. And if we move over here, it is just blank or clean, clean over there. If I move over to this side, it does have some information on the sticker. This is a 240 volt AC machine. Frequency is 60 hertz. Rated power 11 kilowatts. And the model number is ET110. Turning to the back, you can see that it has the 2 mounting locations up here. And I'm sure you could also put a screw or 2 down here in the bottom. Now let's get to work installing this hot water heater. There are 2 screws on the bottom that I'm going to start off with, and I just want to remove those, and that will open up so we can access the electrical inside. So I'm just going to unscrew these 2, and there are actually 2 more on the top that I need to get to. I'm going to spin this around so I can get to the other 2 screws. I now have all 4 of the screws removed. I'm going to pull up the power button and remove that, and then I should be able to lift this front cover off. Set that to the side. Now if we look at the internals here, we have got the electrical on this side, the ground is right here, and then we've got L2, L1, L2, L1. That means this is going to use 240 volt power. I already have my breakers installed, and I have the power run out to my building to be installed into this unit. So the breakers and wiring from the house are beyond the scope of this video. So we will bring our power up through right here. We'll go ahead and loosen this up. Okay, let's also step over here and get this installed on the wall. I'm going to use the included template to mount this on the wall, and let's put it right about here, and then I'm going to use a pin just to mark those holes. That should be good for now. I'm going to use a couple of short screws to get this into my wall. I can tighten these down better here in just a moment. Now that I have the screws in the right place, this should slip right down into position, and it does. Now I'm going to take my screwdriver and tighten these up a little bit. And then I can take a screw down here at the bottom and make sure it doesn't want to come off the wall. That should be sufficient. Now the next step is to get the wiring done. Now this hot water heater requires 2 30 amp breakers bringing in 2 lines of 240 volts, which is a lot because these things use a lot of power. So I have 240 volts with a ground right here, and then I've got an additional 240 volts that does not have the ground, and I'm going to bring that in as well. I have 2 red wires, 2 black wires, and a bare copper wire. And so it's going to be basically 240 times 2 and then 1 ground. I've got a small screwdriver. I'm going to open these up, and I should be able to simply squeeze the wire in here and then tighten that back down to make the connection. Make sure it's nice and tight. Give it a pull. Nothing's happening. Very good. And so if you look over here, I've got L2, L1, L2, L1. I'm going to make sure that each of those has a black and a red, and that will use my 2 circuit breakers inside. Now, as far as which one's red, which one's black per set here, it doesn't really matter. I now have the ground, the 2 L1 L2s installed, which means it's now time to put the cover back on. I may have to get in there later and push the reset button, but for now, I want to get this up and out of the way as I do the rest of my plumbing in here. Now it's time to install the water lines up under the hot water heater. I'm going to be using PEX, which is this white tube, and I'm also going to be using these push connectors. Now you can't use pipe dope on here, but you can use Teflon tape, so I'm going to get some of this on here, or at least best I can. It also has a rubberized gasket, which will help to also make a good seal. Probably could have done this before I mounted it on the wall, so keep that in mind whenever you do this. Now I'm going to tighten down this fitting. I did end up having to remove the box from the wall just a little bit to tighten these fittings. This right here has to go into the end of my PEX tube, which I will do just like this. And then after that, this is the cold water side. I'm just going to press in until that makes a good solid fit. And the other end will go to my water filter over here. And then I'm going to be using this side over here as the hot water coming out. I just finished getting the plumbing connected to the water heater. Let's turn the unit on and test out to see how well this performs. Now, my water does not come from a well or city water. It actually is from an off-grid water pump which fills this tank. And so it's a bit unconventional. The water is sent through a diaphragm pump which pressurizes the water, goes to a water filter, and that goes to the water heater. So let's go ahead and turn this on by pushing the button. All right, currently we're at 57 degrees, but we want this to be pretty high. So yes, about 140 will be good. It goes all the way up to 167 degrees, I believe. But for now, let's go do some tests with this temperature. Now, currently the water in the tank is 57, but as soon as this starts to turn on, it will quickly jump up with that temperature. I don't have my drain plumbed in yet, but I can take this bucket and find out that the temperature down here is 61 or 63 degrees. All right, so if I turn on my hot water, still cold right now. Let's see when it warms up. All right, it's beginning to warm up. Ooh, nice and hot now. All right. I wonder if I can test right here. Yeah, 88 degrees right there in that water. So 54, 88. Stepping back outside, you can see the water right here is 114 degrees, and that is nice and warm for sure. If I take my thermometer here and I read this pipe, I'm getting about 60 degrees. However, if I go down to this one right here, I've got 94, or roughly right in there, 96. So yeah, the hot water is definitely flowing through those pipes right there. My water heater is supplying hot water to a sink and 2 different showers. So if I look over here on the outside of my water shed, I have an outdoor shower. So let's go ahead and take a temperature here of this. Looks like 84 degrees here in the sun. And if I turn that water on, which is this side over here for the hot, There we go. Let's see. Ooh, yeah, nice and hot. All right. 87. Let's do over here. Yeah, 91, 95. And it's a little harder to tell on this, but it is producing nice hot water. And then if I step back inside, I can show you the sink that we've already tested here. So let's do this again. So that's cooled off to 62. However, if I turn the heat on again, 86, 90, 105, 116. So that may be turned up a little hot there. And then I don't have the shower drain over here yet, but there's a shower right here, and it's got the mixer valve down there, and plumbing will be hooked up to this tub eventually. The Thermomate 11K water heater seems to heat up very fast here on this short run on my small cabin, and it is producing enough hot water to last indefinitely for showers or washing hands in the sink. If you want to check out this water heater, I will have links to it in the description down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Seth with Land to House, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.